I
I, Mark Okraku Mantey,
swear by Almighty God
swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So help me God.
Mr. Mark Okraku Mantey, you were the interim president of the Creative Arts Council. You worked with the multimedia group from 2014 to 2021. All right. So whilst you were with the multimedia group, you were also the interim president of the multimedia group. Were you not?
Of the Creative Arts Council, Honorable Chair.
Sorry, whilst you were the interim president of the Creative Arts Council. Right. Before then, you were at Sleep Entertainment, now Sleep Mark, the CEO. Did you declare all your profits and paid your appropriate taxes as the CEO of Sleep Entertainment?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Very well. And you say that you did music executive production like Lord Kenya, Dasibre Jamina, Ohini Kisi, Nana Tufo, George Hara, Kumi Guitar. And then you did the films like a Fura TV series, Call for Your Creation.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Why did you create Kofori as a drunkard? Why did you create him in that character?
It was the storyline was written by one Kofi Ando, and so he needed a character in a community home or house, and so we all know how the typical Ghanaian what we call compound house, all sorts of characters that you are likely to see, and so it is believed that you are likely to find someone who is like that in most compound houses, and that is why that character was created. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Very interesting. And the character still makes me laugh today. That's right. Say you also produce events and programs like MTN Music Festival, the Club Live, High Life Festival, TV3 Mentor. Now, let me ask you, what is happening to High Life today in the music industry? Do you see High Life dying?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. High Life, it's a default rhythm in our country. It would be difficult for High Life to die because most of the youth music that we listen to today, even the dancehall or other genre of music, they all have the rudiments or the fundamentals of High Life. And so we still enjoy High Life, we are still producing High Life, but it is in a different form for the youth of today, the Kwame Eugenes, the Kiddies, and the Ken Promises.
Okay, those are truly High Life music I can listen to.
Yes.
But looks like there's a new development which makes us feel very old. You're not sure whether they are singing or they are just communicating something. And sometimes you can hardly identify with the lyrics. You're not sure. Some of the very loud ones, you're not sure what they're saying, whether they are just shouting or they're telling us something. But probably it's the time in which I am now. Very well. Interim Creative Arts Council, Vodafone Music Awards, Ghana Music Rights GAMRO, Copyright Society of Ghana, interim board member. all your experience appear to be in the arts, music, arts, entertainment sector. But I think culture goes way beyond that. Culture, from my understanding, is the things that you can identify every Ghanaian by. Not just our dresses and our appearances and our talking, but our everyday behavior. Would you agree with me that there are some of the things we call the culture of Ghanaians which are negative? For example, dishonesty. I seem to think or observe that dishonesty become a culture of Ghanaians. We lie freely. A workman would ordinarily cheat you. He would take money for A and provide a B or a subset of B. Any one of them, whether it's a mason, a carpenter, a mechanic, a tailor, and it comes all the way up. Do you agree that that become a culture of Ghanaians?
Yes, to some extent, we have elements like that in Ghana. Culture, as you said, is the foundation for creative arts. And so it is the duty of the people in the arts to help change some of these negatives in our culture. Theater, like what our own Uncle Ibo does, can go a long way to change the mindsets of some of our people. Film is another tool that can be used to change people's minds. Music, choice of words, because music can last for so many years, after even 70 years after the copyright ownership, it goes to the public domain. You can listen to music over and over. As you listen to it, it goes into your subconscious. And so if the music directs you lyrically very well, you are likely to grow up as a better person. And so we can use the art to change the narratives of some of the bad attitudes of the people in our country. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
That's interesting. Yes, I'm interested in teasing out the music part. I'm more interested in our way of life, our everyday practices. Yes, our culture. Right. Do you think that there's something we can do in the upbringing of young people using the music, arts, performances, to let people refocus on being honest with one another, being more patriotic, more focused on group things, group values, than individual values as we appear to be headed towards now?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I grew up on Osofodazi, and so I am likely to think in that direction based on some of the stories I saw. I believe that you cannot meet somebody for the first time and assume that you know him or her too well, because I saw one play called Abyssinia. And so with that background, if we decide that as a country, we're going to invest into culture, where film does not live as a private sector product on itself, but Ghana as a country would influence, would direct how our movies should go. I'll give an example of what you often see in the Western movies or the developed countries, how they shoot their movies. You are likely to find an American flag on a table somewhere in a movie. It is all orchestrated. It makes sure that the belief in their country or belief in Ghana agenda runs through from childhood. And so Ministry of Education, we must partner Ministry of Education so that right from scratch, we sell the believe in Ghana agenda into the child. So when the person gets old, you see an old man in a bus or a train, it comes to you naturally that you must rise for the old to sit whilst you stand. It is not late. We just must re-customize what we used to do and sell it to the youth and change the perception or the mindset.
I'll come back to that. Do you think that if we created some rhymes, poems, for recitation at the nursery, the things we learn from there, the basic values we want the Ghanaian to live, if we created them into rhymes? That's something I learned in the, I think in the Scandinavian countries. The teacher enters the classroom, the first thing you say, if it's not yours, the children will answer, don't take it. Straight away, that kind of mindset is developed, that you don't take what doesn't belong to you. Do you think this is an area where your ministry may be, suppose you're approved to work in that ministry, may be willing and eager to work on to assist in redeveloping or redirecting the mindset of young Ghanaians?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I agree with you. We are going to go into those areas because earlier on, before I entered this room, I heard you talk about what happens on social media. And it's a problem for all. Every rational, matured person in this country, I'm sure we all know what we are going through with the social media. And so we would, again, engage the Ministry of Education and find ways of influencing how our young ones are going to learn by using the arts like poems and other formats of teaching. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Very well, Honorable Leader.
Chairman, I should thank you for the opportunity and congratulate Mark Okraku Mantey on his nomination to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, believing that the President recognizes his background and expect him to use his expertise in promoting generally the industry of arts and culture while supporting the Honorable Minister Awal. But Chairman, just to start with, may I, with some respect, Mr. Nominee, the President's letter of 21st April 2021, I see tourism, arts and culture, Mark Okraku Mantey. In your CV, is hyphenated, which is the correct one that we should rely on as a committee. In the President's letter, I don't see a hyphen between Okraku and Mantey, but in your CV, I do, which is correct. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It is a hyphenated one.
It's a hyphenated one, so Chairman and his record will reflect that. Chairman, taking it from his CV, you have decided to be elaborate, so we'll hold you for being generous with information. In your role in 2017, this is what you have to say in your CV. Facilitate the provision of infrastructure for the development of the creative industry. What infrastructure have you facilitated its development in Ghana? Thank you, Chair. As per your CV, this is what you say, your role from 2017 to present. You facilitated the provision of infrastructure. The nature of the infrastructure you want to share with this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We liaise with the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture to give a facelift of the auditorium in Gofodia. And then the Kumasi one, which is ongoing, we were part of it. And that is why that is in my CV.
All right. And Chairman, I know you are not there yet. I will encourage you to visit the Tamale offices of the arts and they call the Cultural Center in Tamale, and probably even Bolgatanga. And they may even be in Upper West region where I'm not too sure of its status, but they are all in very poor state. Do we have your assurance that you work with your minister to improve that in order to facilitate the work of the music, arts, and culture industry of our country? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. If I'm given the nod by this August House, I would support my boss to be Dr. Mohammed Awal to finish the Tamale one, just like he promised when he came to this room. At the moment, as I talk to you, he's on his way to Tamale. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
So, Chairman, if Honorable Awal is your boss, what will the president be to you?
I am a follower at the moment to Honorable Dr. Awal, whilst he also is a follower to the president.
So you are now all followers to your boss, is that right? Chairman, to the CV again, I quote, facilitate the protection of intellectual property rights. I know as former Minister for Employment, some of these matters came to my attention when there were grievances from your group and your team with the Attorney General. What were the problems associated with it, and what do you prefer as a solution to it? Intellectual rights of persons in the industry, because that's germane to your success. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Originally, COSGA was for government, 100%. And so we had to negotiate to have COSGA, which at the time was just for music, collecting society for music. And so we did some engagements, and then finally, COSGA was liquidated. Out of COSGA, we got GAMRO, ASOG, and then Copy Ghana. And so I was one of the people who came to see you when you were a Minister for Communication. You gave us some good advice at the time. We followed some of the steps you gave to us. And that is why today we have all these three groupings as collecting society: GAMRO for music, ASOG for film, Copy Ghana for literary.
In your answer to the chairman's very first question, these were your words. We still enjoy high life. High life will not die. What will you do to promote high life?
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Years ago, I personally took it upon myself to promote High Life, and that is why on my CV you see High Life Festival. It was a brand we built just to promote High Life. It attracted some good number of people. The interest also grew from the perception that High Life was almost dead till how we were able to get some young people to shift from the Papa Yangsons and the CK Mans and then the Lumba generation for what we have today, the Kwame Eugenes, the Wendy Shays, and all of that. And so we have done some in the past. I've also been part of Mentor as a judge, which discovered a lot of talent. Occasionally, I am on MTN Hitmaker that discovered Kwame Eugene and Kidi. And so I've always been around how to discover talents and then use them or motivate them to do high life music.
You know, Chairman, he enjoys high life. This dummy, he liked the one where they say dummy, like Chairman. This, Chairman, say it for yourself, then he'll hear. I'll yield to you. But
I like, what's the old man? Lumba is my legend, but I also like KJ Sipa very much. Dr. KJ's High Life songs.
Which of Chairman's KJC do you remember? But me, I'm interested in one. Dadua Anumi, you remember that? No, leave it to the nominee. You remember that?
Yes, that's Mr.
Say it in full, and then who?
Dadya Numa.
You say it in full as if you were singing it for our people.
Oh, Dadya Nume. Benjamin later come out.
So if you are going to dance it, how will you do it? Shake your body. Anyway, Chairman, that's for the flip side of so endeavor to work to promote high life in our country. But I'm particular about, if you go to Bolgatanga, you see the smoke, and what the lady next behind you, there's a certain category of it which is Bolga made. in the savannah area, even the thread and the type of what material they use differ, including my own background. Now, in Bolgatanga, you see, when you travel abroad, just baskets. I've seen Ghanaians fly abroad, buy baskets into Ghana, those weaved ones. You can produce it in abundant quantities in Bolgatanga and its surrounding areas, up to Wiaga and the Sandima area. So I'm talking about taking advantage of our local expertise. What would you do to assist your minister to produce those made in Ghana cultural arts products? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We believe, myself, and then with my boss to be, if I get this note from this August House. He is a capitalist. He believes in entrepreneurship. And so I'm going to support him and then get some funds to support these people. So, and then get the available markets that we can get for them in the developed countries so we can do some export to support the economy.
Chairman, the film industry, in my own Tamale, a lot of enthusiasm in it. Young people want to go into it as an emerging industry. And it offers a potential of a viable employer if we develop it well. What would you do to assist your minister to give realization to the dreams of the many young people who want to go into the industry?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Years ago, we saw the northern part and the Ashanti part as very far from the capital, which is Accra. But after the emergence of one young man called Fancy Gadam, our perception about what happens in the north has changed, because he was able to come down to the capital, did his own show at the National Theatre, and was able to fill the whole place. We had to take him seriously because we had never seen that before. And so after that, we've given extra attention to the north. And so Honorable Dr. Awal has plans to even set up a studio in the north to support these young men and women who are in the arts. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes, Honorable Ibiama.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mark Okraku Mantey, born in Insaom. I'm from Ekropon. Is that right? You are Mpa. I have to say when you're MP, I'll be the MP. No. Oh, but I asked, to it, I've heard he wants to be MP in future. And where does he want to be the MP? But he said he hasn't said it anywhere. So he was born in someone which is not part of a Grapim South. He's from a Okraku, which is not part of a Grapim South. Okraku is a Grapim North. But have you heard that he wants to start at Dayezuano? Anyway, that's just by the way. I've seen that one of your referees is the Roverman himself. I've seen him here, James Ebo White. Well, looking at your CV, page, it's not numbered as such, but page 5 talks about achievements. And you see that you have either produced or pioneered or positioned or founded or activated. So you're always leading. Now you're going to the ministry where you'll be led, more or less. On tourism, you said you played a role in the year of return. What do you think the year of return brought to Ghana?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The year of return is a big deal. is or was monumental, never seen before in this country. 1.3 people entering Ghana, including some of the celebrities that we always saw them from afar, never thought would ever enter this country. Again, it branded Ghana. And subsequently, we see people who want to come in and want to do business because the videos that went out there via social media and all showed that Ghana is a country that is good to do business. And so year of return, I'm not sure we'll ever forget year of return in this country. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Well, if you look at this year's budget and Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, column 721, it says that a 10-year Beyond the Return program has been launched. Do you have any idea about this program?
Yes, Beyond the Return. Honorable Chair, yes.
10-year Beyond the Return program?
Yes.
If you know about it, what is it all about?
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Beyond the Return is a reinforcement of year of return. And so the ministry is going to expand whatever we did in the year of return. Today, we know someone like Steve Wonder wants to come and live in Ghana, and it's all because of year of return. We made some revenues as well. Year of return brought us 3.3 million. And so it is only prudent that we nurture this and then make it bigger and get revenues for the country. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
My last question will be, how do we position Ghana on the world tourism market?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Our strength at the moment is our heritage and our hospitality and the sites that we have, tourist sites. So we must make sure we market that site more so that through creative people, so that it would attract more people entering the country. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes, Susu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable nominee, congratulations once more.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The first time I encountered you was when you were a judge on Mentor. And you came across as the most difficult judge and the one who did not compromise at all. When your friends were giving positive comments, you always came across to me as somebody who was a pessimist at the time. But I think that over the years, I've grown to appreciate your work and the work that you do for the industry. I was trying to look at the various comments that came upon the announcement of your nomination. And I came across what Shatawale, one of the dancehall artists, actually said. I want to know from you what your views are about that, because this is an industry you are going to be in charge of, and you have some industry players that are holding the view that you may not help them. What would be your response to them?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The creative space is an opinionated one, and it is so because by the DNA of a creative person, you must be anti-status quo. And so most creative people cannot be gagged. They will definitely voice out when they have to. But we need everybody on board. And so we're going to engage even those who do not believe that we can do it. And together, we'll do it. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The post-COVID economy is predicted to be a very challenging economy. And one of the industries that was hard hit with the COVID pandemic was the creative arts. what, in your opinion, or what would you do to support or assist the substantive minister to open up opportunities in this industry when you are approved, particularly given the fact that a lot of these industries, as we speak now, are down as a result of COVID?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Creative people, yes, I agree that because of COVID, finances and opportunities are all down. But all creative people will need around this time is capacity and then funding. And creative people will be back on track. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
So how do we build that capacity and how do we fund that? Because earlier on, one of the answers to the question posed by the ranking member, you said we need to get some funds to develop them. And I was wondering, how do we get the funds? Do you have any ideas on how you intend generating funds to support the industry?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In the developed countries, creatives are supported by philanthropists, as well as entrepreneurs or investors. And so we must identify some from the private sector who would come and invest into the creative industry, as well as some of the banks that are ready to give support to these industry players. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Right, Honorable Ejare. Oh, okay. I'll come to you after Honorable Ejare, please.
Congratulations, Honorable Okraku Mantey, in the making. Your mic should be off. Relax. I'm not going to do anything apart from making sure that the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Arts has somebody who has what it takes to continue our sweat. How are you going to use the tourism satellite account to make a case for tourism?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. At the moment, we do not have that, but it is imperative we get it, because data, not just for tourism, but data for creatives, arts, and then culture that will go into tourism. I agree with Honorable Elizabeth Ofusojare that we do not have that. And so at the moment, we are making decisions based on sort of not well-informed data. And so I will support my minister to get the satellite in place so that we can take decisions that are well-informed. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
You've been at the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture for the past 4 years by virtue of your presidency at the Creative Arts Council, is that right?
Yes, Honorable
The Tourism Satellite Account was set up in 2016. So there is one in place, except that work on it has not continued. Because as the Minister for Tourism at that time, I personally set up a tourism satellite account, which may not have been worked on. So there is one in place already. When you are given the nod, you may want to pursue that and make sure that we talk based on fact. I think tourism is more than the 4th foreign exchange earner in the country. But because we don't have statistics, we are ranked 4th, and I think that we can do better than that. So I take you to one of the answers you gave on year of return. Big deal, yes. How is the year of return different from PANAFEST? And what did you use to measure the 3.3 million that was accrued from the year of return, and how much was spent on the year of return?
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I cannot tell the tool that was used in measuring. Yes, it is it is reported information by the ministry, and I do not have the capacity to probe at the moment, and so that is why I accepted the figures. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
You asked about Panafest. Do you know about Panafest?
Yes, I know about Panafest.
He says, how different is that from the year of return?
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Panafest is more of the diasporan identifying their roots. And then year of return was based on slavery 400 years. And so the specific was, it was 400 years, and so come back home. So that was a unique selling proposition for year of return.
So Panafest was going back to your roots because of what?
Yes, it's Panafest is still coming back to your roots, but not based on the 400 years.
I will not belabor the point, but from the answers you've given, it is clear that Panafest and year of return, same. Because if you say that they are coming back because of slavery, and then Panafest is also coming back to your roots, why will you come back to your roots? They are coming back to their roots because of slavery. So it's the same thing and coming home. Promotion of tourism, coming to invest, everything is the same, just different names. So it is not a big deal. It's the same thing, named differently. I take you to the next.
I'm indulging Chairman because I have to edit something quickly, so I'll take his leave. But just one more question, Honorable Mark Okraku Mantey, for my purposes. I'm encouraged to hear Fancy Gadam breaking grounds up north. We are proud of his prospects. But the relationship between music and promiscuity, there seems to be a worry and a trend in Ghana about some of the music, the lyrics, and promiscuity. And those of us who still think that there is a moral world, it's a difficult world. You need to promote it. And I see some heads not happy even that I've raised it because they enjoy that aspect of music which allow for those things, including the Honorable Obi Amwa. But I just want us to, how do you strike a balance? You need to sell your music all right. We need to be cautious about it being a breeding ground for promiscuity in the country. What do you have to say to that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I agree that the lyrics of some of the performers, and sometimes even the pictures we show in the music video, aren't tasteful. So we are going to engage industry. Like I said, that culture must be what we should use in producing creatives. And so we are going to engage industry to understand that our culture first and the Ghana agenda first. The media industry is some way, somehow guilty, because if the music or film is produced, and then because of the nature of the music or film, we decide or they decide not to use it, I am sure it's going to discourage the rest from producing more of these things. Unfortunately, standards have dipped, and so some of these things are allowed. But we can engage, and then we make a change. The broadcast law is also going to make a lot of changes. It will put us on the right path, give us the roadmap to go with, so that some of all these things can be controlled. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Please, can I? Thank you. On your CV, It is not numbered, but I'll take you to where you have leadership position held and interim creative arts. You have indicated that you were supposed to facilitate the provision of infrastructure for development of the creative industry. And in Kumasi, in 2017, when you met the sound engineers and the creative arts practitioners, you indicated that you were building an ultra-modern studio to train sound engineers that year. That was the vision. Can you apprise, and then you are going to build the studio and train the sound engineers. Can you apprise us on the status of this project?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We had a lot of opposition with the studio concept, but we needed to engage so that the stakeholders would understand why we need a studio. Ultramodern studio is a tourism material. People travel across the world to record. Some even just go just to do guitar. And so we still need to have such a studio to become the hub for film and music in West Africa. And so now we've been able to do some engagement with the stakeholders in the industry, and we are getting a degree of green light. And so that is why it didn't come off. Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair.
Please, your mic. How much did you leave in the creative arts account by close of year 2020? And okay, yeah, that one, then I'll continue.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I would not remember, and we don't want to make mistakes here, but we were not getting any form of budget to operate because the laws of the land wouldn't permit us to have budget. We were interim. We didn't have the law behind us for us to have budget, and so we didn't have much. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. I was so excited when you were appointed, you were nominated for the position of Deputy Minister in charge of this ministry, because I know for your criticism, your task is huge, because people are going to measure you by what you've said. You indicated that on Peace FM, and I was called in, that the NDC did not leave any money in the creative arts account, and we also did not provide an office for you. But, Atik, where was your office in 2017?
Atik, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I didn't see this coming from my but yes, it was a reported speech, and so yes. But when I got to know that in your time, the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture drafted the Creative Art Bill that today has become an act, and so yes, something happened. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Very well, Honorable Tampoli.
Last.
Oh, I've allowed you so much space because you're a former minister. Very well.
Thank you. What is the status of the Film Act? Do we have the legislative instrument? Do we have the film fund? Because you have stated that funding is important to the growth of this ministry. And even though you said the NDC didn't do anything, at least we gave you the Film Act, and I was expecting that you have the film fund by now. Do you have it?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Not yet. We do not have the fund. Yeah, we are now. We just got them the office to begin operations, and so give us a few months ahead, and we'll make some changes. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. That will be all for you, except to tell you that this industry that you are entering is your industry, but you also have tourism practitioners, and you have said that you are always anti-what? You work against the status quo. So now I understand you why you were working against the status quo. It is your turn now.
When we are done.
Work well to ensure that you work together with.
Honorable Minister. Mr. Chairman, I'm grateful. Honorable nominee, I congratulate you. Someone, the nominee is my very good friend, and I want to put that on record. My little, question had to do with the tourism industry, and specifically on hotel accommodation charges. I'm not sure what the criteria is for generating hotel rates in this country. But you find a very tiny 2x4 hotel somewhere, and then you go and find the rates $100, $80. Meanwhile, you will find 4-star, 5-star hotels in other jurisdictions. Top-notch, service that they render to their clients. And then you find that they're charging sometimes almost at the same level as these hotels. What is your view on, cost of hotel accommodation in this country? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I believe that the hotels come across as relatively expensive because sometimes they have dry seasons, and so when they get the wet seasons, they make sure they milk its demand and supply. Good. And so as the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture, one of the strategies that I know that my boss-to-be, if I'm given the nod, Dr. Mohamed Awa, is working on, is to make the dry seasons wet as well. Just like years ago, primetime television will always be 7 to 9 or 10, but when boxer Azuma Nelson fights, primetime can change to 1 a.m. and people still stay and watch. So when we begin to get activities, that will make the hotels busy almost every day of the week. Some kind of amount comes in. It will help them reduce the heavy ones that they put on. So it's generally an economies of scale kind of thing. And so that's the strategy we would want to use to reduce that load on the hotels. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I'm done. I just want to wish the Honorable nominee congratulations once again. Thank you very much.
As Honorable Gisela.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You. I take you back to your CV, the last but one page. National Service, you said it was not done due to health issues. You never did it?
No. Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. I have had stomach ulcer issues from my youthful days. And so you will notice that on my CV, I did my set form private. I didn't go to any school. So I just go for classes, and then I use it to write my exams. So I battled ulcer for so many years. And then I had irritable bowel syndrome. And so that is why.
Okay, I'm asking, it just came to my notice because find out whether to be in public service, as you are now entering, it is allowed without doing national service. So I think you have to cross-check that.
Yeah, but I have an exemption.
You have an exemption?
Yes.
All right. So
yeah, thank you.
What are the origins of your smoke?
Honorable Chair, anytime I see any of these designs, the first thing that comes to mind is a dinkra. And so a friend gave it to me that I should wear for my vet, and I almost refused because I was scared of some of these questions.
So a friend gave that to you as a gift?
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
Leave it there.
Next time, tell the friend to add the meaning and the origin to it.
Okay,
next time.
Thank you.
I'm just asking this because you know that there are a lot of fabrics, smokes. We have quite a number of items that we can promote for our local market, that are produced by a local market. Just give us two things that you would suggest to your minister to promote these for economic benefit?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I am happy we have one of the people in the creative space who has taken Batakari as a project. And so the festival is called Batakari Festival. And the person is Kenai Soba. Yes. And so Batakari is becoming a big deal where a celebrity has taken it upon himself to do festival every year. So we are going to add it to the events for the year or the festivals for the year for the ministry so that we can showcase all sorts of various types, colors of Batakari so that we can get the market for him and the people who manufacture these products. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The World Bank was supposed to have pumped 50 million into the creative arts sector. You said 50 million Ghana cedis. Honorable Catherine Afriku said $50 million. What's the sign in front of the number?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I do not know if you mean myself mentioning the figure or someone else, because I have not mentioned any figure yet.
There are stories online.
I would find out from my minister-to-be, Honorable Awao, and then I would revert. At the moment, I do not know.
This one is Ghana Web. Creative Arts received 50 million from government. Okraku confirms. It's on Ghana Web. World Bank pumps 50 million into the creative arts industry. That's by Catherine Afeku. It's there. It's online.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think that there's a mistake somewhere. The gap is that the Honorable Catherine Afeku one was World Bank, but I'm sure you are talking about the MBSSI stimulus package for the creative arts space.
So how effectively was that used?
It was given to creative practitioners, and it's cushioned them for some time, and that is why the industry is still alive. It's not dead because of that package.
So how come my local Pilato, Punch Kid, and Black Trinity didn't benefit from such a package? My local artists from my constituency, they didn't even hear of such a thing.
What are their names again, please?
Pilato, Punch Kid, Black Trinity. I have a list of them. No, but how do you build up artists?
Honorable Chair, I haven't heard the names before, but I'll look out for them, and then I'll find out why they did not receive, whether they even applied in the first place. It's another matter.
You see, this brings to, please put your mic off.
Okay.
This brings to light how you now promote the artists. Some are established. I see Samini sitting right behind you. He has his name already. He's already established. How do you grow the young talent? Every single constituency, we have talents. And they abound. And they are just eager and just hungry to have someone to hold their hand out to help them. What are you going to do as somebody who has worked in the creative arts space for that long? What pragmatic plans are you going to have in place for people like the gentleman that I have mentioned to grow?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Talent, every day, every hour, you discover a talent. They are around us. And there's a degree of effort that the artist or performer or talent must make. It is difficult to identify them if they do not approach the right quarters or get into some competition like MTN Hitmaker or Mentor to be identified. And so these days, what they do is that you just must have your song. Social media is relatively cheap to have your song promoted on it. And then one entrepreneur or an investor can find you somewhere and then help. Because for what you're saying, it will be very difficult for even the established music producers to know that there are talents like that in your constituency. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, so I just use my constituency as an example. But the general message I'm giving to you is that there's a lot of talent out there who cannot make it to the MTN Hitmaker, who cannot make it to Vodafone Music Awards or whatever. But there's also, those people are also hungry for help. That is what I'm saying. So you can
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, thank you for the information. We must find a different strategy of identifying these people and then see how best we can engage investors to help. Thank you.
Now you are talking. Mr. Chairman, my last question, please, on
you have
infrastructure.
had so many.
Mr. Chairman, today I have not.
No, I mean on this witness.
Forgive me, last one, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, infrastructure to tourist sites. You and I know that you just mentioned that you're trying to, what we have is heritage tourism, we have some ecotourism, a few other concepts maybe mixed all mixed together with music and all that. But the infrastructure to the sites, you and I know that is a bit lacking. What proactive steps is government going to take? In my constituency, Senya Breku, I have Fort Good Hope, but I have a very, very bad road that goes to it. I have poorly lit areas. What is it that government is going to do proactively to make sure that mine and other constituencies where the tourist sites are located, they're going to get their share of the national cake to make sure that they can make the most out of that tourism gem? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. I was in one of the meetings where Honorable Dr. Awal spoke to Honorable Amakwanta. And there was a midpoint that he was committed, that is the Minister for Roads, was committed to give roads to tourist sites some attention. And so the interministerial engagement has already started. And if we move on like that, I am sure that some of these problems will be solved in no time. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm done. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
Let me read this quote from you. The president of the Creative Arts Council, Okraku, Mantey, said he was happy about the development, saying this will enable the government to organize the creative arts industry and create an enabling environment through direct and indirect support for practitioners and industry players to impact on national development. Those were your comments after the passage of the Creative Arts Bill. Do you, in your view, believe that this legislation will promote the creative arts industry and has filled all the gaps that practitioners within that space have been craving for? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This bill, it's a 360% kind of bill because the draft was made by my sister, Honorable Elizabeth, and her team. And then we took over, and then we also made some editing and then finalized it. And so both sides of the coin worked on this document. It is going to solve the policy problem. It is going to solve the training problem, the infrastructure problem, the funding problem, and then the final one, which is always disturbing the creative people when they get old, is the pension. And so all these things will be solved if we go by this document. We are going to have the right pegs in the right holes. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
So you believe it will cover all the challenges that have bedeviled the industry for some time? Let me go to the second question. The president recently inaugurated a 15-member committee to oversee the organization of the Beyond the Return. It's co-chaired by your boss, Honorable Awal, and the finance minister. Is the Beyond the Return program going to be an Accra event like we saw in the Year of Return? We've been talking about promoting domestic tourism. Most of our tourist sites are underdeveloped. The World Bank gave us 40 million to develop some of the sites. What do you think we must leverage on with this Beyond the Return program that you've spoken about, that is a 10-year program, to develop all our domestic sites to bring tourism to number one as a #1 foreign exchange earner for this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. If we get most of our roads fixed, and then we create more tourist sites. I'm saying creating more tourist sites because we see a lot of opportunities that we've not taken advantage of at the moment. The home of ex-President Rawlings, the home of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. All of these venues qualify to be tourist sites. Kasaprekun, Company Limited, Club Beer, Okraku Limited, all of them qualify to be tourist sites, depending on how ready we are to sell our story. And so domestic tourism would boom. In my last meeting with Edum Hine in Kumasi, he mentioned that nightlife in Kumasi was almost dead. And it is a minus for tourism. And so we are getting some investors on board, some internally, some international, who are showing interest in doing things in Ghana because they came for a year of return and saw it was a country they could invest in. So we'll engage more and then get some of these experts at Tamel's home, how we can make the home a tourist site to attract people to just want to come and see. Where I come from, Okraku, we can create some museum because one small town had produced 3 leaders in this country. And so we have President Akufo-Addo's father, we have General Akufu, and then President Akufo-Addo. So we have a museum that will be like a presidential museum, sort of, on the mountain. So we are going to add some more strategies to boom domestic tourism, just like we want to do for alumni tourism. A weekend, everybody should go back to your old school from Friday to Sunday. It will boom fuel, it will boom data, it will boom hotel, drinks for the whole weekend. And so I pray God gives us the strength, and then we will influence whatever we can. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Well, the tourism sector is an activity-based sector. You must generate a lot of events to be able to generate the kind of boom you are talking about. I know Edumhine has a jazz club at the cultural center, which is not being patronized. Kwame Eugene is from my constituency, Fadama, Kankwe Central. And Baba, 3 music CEO, 3 media, is also from there. I want to build a music studio in my area. How much does it cost to build one? And would your ministry support me in building one for my area? Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Your tastes will determine the kind of studio you want to do and the amount involved. There are some studios that just the mixer will cost over $1 million. So it is subjective. So yes, just the mixer. And then the mini ones, domestic ones.
I'm talking about Okankwe Central, Abeka La Paz, Tesano. I'm not talking about Jay-Z and the likes. I'm talking about building people in my area, Fadama, Abeka.
Okay. Even if you want a studio that will cost you 100,000, you can get it. 100,000 Ghana cedis cry if you want a studio, because it's just a PC, 2 speakers, they call it a studio. But if you want the one that will give you the sounds that some of our top performers used to produce and timeless sounds, it takes more. And so I think I will engage you later on, and then I take advice from Honorable Tete. It will help the people in your neighborhood, so the undergrounds will get the opportunity to also come to the studio and record. And we'll pray that other MPs will emulate, so that we can get these mini studios across the country. Thank you, Honorable.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Yes, Nilante.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. I want to say congratulations to my very good friend, but today is going to be a good day because you should expect that some of us are going to be a bit difficult for you because you have a very difficult stance against people who appear before you whenever you appear as a judge. So you should expect it. And he knows me. Those days when we used to do the embassy double do and things, they were young ones who used to follow us. So you remember Alan Zigzaga, Alan Chikichaka, and the rest, or you remember them? Carlos Alberto, Cross our laws.
Honorable Chair, for your information, Alex Ofori passed yesterday.
It passed yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Gracious, man. Anyway, Mark, first let me ask you, what are the components of the creative arts industry?
Okay. I need to go into my books. There are many. Okay, so I start. Film.
Let me rephrase it.
Okay.
What are the components in the creative arts sector?
Okay.
And do you think there has been a balanced attention to the various components?
Okay, we have, let me mention the components and then, yes. Okay, some, okay. So, film, fine arts, music, events, media traditional and the new media, music, fashion, there are about 11 crafts. Yeah, crafts, yes. Painting, that's fine art. Yes, to some extent, we've not given the attention equitably. It is so because it is a pull and push situation. Some push more extremely, and others, by their nature, think that it must happen. And so, just about 2 weeks ago, I listened to Kwesi Abuaji's show, and the people from the model industry were on the show saying that we've not given them enough attention. To some extent, it is true. But when the cake is small, those whose voices kind of come across as loudest often tend to get the attention. So I agree with you. We must give the rest of them equally attention.
Mr. Chairman, you know the reason why I've asked this question? Because we are having the same scenario in the area of sports, for example. And I'm happy with the answer you're giving. Because sports, for example, the footballers will make so much noise. Attention is all football. Then the other disciplines are dying. It's the same with the creative arts. Those who can make the noise are those we give attention to. And then the other components suffer. Would you look at it and see how? Because it doesn't lie within you and I, our purview, to kill the talent God has given somebody by our policies and actions. So would you advise or support your minister in changing the trend so we can give equal attention to the various components within the industry?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank God, when I was at the Creative Arts Council, we started engaging almost all the facets of the art. And so we've aggregated them at the moment. We've started putting the data together because one of the challenges was also data. You don't even know where to find them unless they choose to approach. And so now the data collection is ongoing. And so very soon with the data that we'll have, it will be difficult to give excuses that you didn't know that there was a group like this or they had people like this. And so I would support my forthcoming boss, Minister Honorable Dr. Awal, to recognize and share the cake equally. Thank you, Honorable.
My next question has to do with the Bureau of Languages. I'm one of the advocates of the fact that language play a critical role in the promotion of arts and culture. Do you see it as part of the Ministry of Culture? And if you do you know the situation of the Bureau of Languages now? And what will you do to make sure we don't kill that important baby?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Bureau of Languages is still relevant in the ministry. In my first 4 years in the Creative Art Council, I engaged them, and then we started some marketing. And so they have a program on Adom FM, which is used to sell the Ghanaian language. It is not enough. We need to do more. We need to market our language more. People at the moment even look down on ourselves when we have to speak our local languages. We think it is of a lower class to speak your own language. And so we want to sell our languages as sexy. Sorry, in quotes. And where I come from, if we say sexy, it means appealing. So that the youth will see something beautiful in the Ghanaian name and the Ghanaian languages. Like Samini had to change from Batman to Samini. There's some beauty in changing from Batman to Samini. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Shatawale from Bandana to Shatawale. Thank you.
Chairman, possibly my last. During my days, arts and culture was compulsory on our timetable in school. Compulsory. So it builds and inculcated into us the love for our arts and culture. And even at Legon, when first year, I wasn't at drama, but I was going to drama all the time. Today, it's become almost part of a subject in our educational curriculum. Would you support the advocacy that we make arts and culture on its own as a subject, an examinable subject, so that our children will become imbibed in our own arts and culture, so that we reduce the influence of these foreign cultures? The one I don't want to see are the young ones who dress up and pull their trousers down and have their panties showing. Yes. It's in our days, you dare not dress that way in front of any elder. Please. Oh, that was not my days, please. It's Sosu's days. It's the JHS SSS days. No. Not the O-level days. No. It's a serious thing for me. Do you think we have to make arts and culture an examinable subject, a compulsory subject on our educational curriculum, so that as you grow, it doesn't matter where you are, you learn one aspect of our culture and tradition as possible?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Your suggestion or question will touch on the broadcast law, as well as our commitment to change the narratives. It took just one man to change the way the young people dress. And that is why I heard somebody undertone, someone said Otofista. And it was because for that particular season, we watched football, and Otofista was the only one we saw. And so by the time we were through with that particular tournament, our youth started dressing like that. That's the power of television. And so we must have interest as statesmen how and what we show on our television. Because even if one man Autofista can change the whole country. Then if we begin to get 10 or 20 of Autofista, can we imagine?
That talking about that, it's very interesting. I'm not very much of a television person. I hardly watch apart from news. But anytime I go home from work, what I see is something that is not familiar to me. It's not Ghanaian. Even though they are purporting to or show it in Ghanaian languages. Kunkumbaja or that. There are the new ones. I find it very offensive. So I go straight to stay in my bedroom. I don't want to have anything to do with those things. But you have your media commission, you have your ministry, and it is growing. It's not limited to just one station. It appears to be the order of the day. That juxtaposed to your statement that the power of television, what we show. What happened to the series that you were showing by the fireside? On top of that, even Ghana Wood, is that what the name we call them? Gallywood, Kuma Wood. What happened to them? Why have we lost those contents on our television?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I remember a few months ago, or weeks, when Dr. Awal, Honorable, came here, he mentioned that he was going to set up a studio that was going to take care of our film and the music industry. We must be ready to compete as a country as well. Because even if they do not, the youth or the people in Ghana do not consume via television, they will consume via phone because of social media or online activities. And so we must be ready to also shoot films that are exportable, that we can also consume some based on our culture on our television. At the moment, we are not able to compete some way, somehow, because of standards. And that is why I support Honorable Dr. Awal in the studio that he wants to build, so that technology that can match up today's competition, we can get all of that, plus technical know-how to compete. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
You mean on our regulatory, or we can't regulate the content? We can't insist that by law?
The law is already in the making.
In the making?
Yes.
And the content includes regulating what kind of content that radio and TV stations show?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Industry is pushing for 70% local and then 30% foreign. In my last conversation with Honorable Kojo Ponkroma, he said they were done with the stakeholder engagement. And so very soon, they are going to have a document that will regulate the relationship between NCA and then NMC. It's always been a challenge. And so I'm sure when they are done with that document, we'll have a roadmap that will solve the problems. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Very well. You are responding to his question on education.
Yes. And thank you, Honorable Chair. The culture, I remember one video went on viral when Bukum Banku was asked a question about what is culture. And then he said culture is king, that's culture. It tells you that we there's a gap somewhere. We've left, so we must go back to our roots, especially when we want to sell to foreigners. The foreigners won't come here to enjoy what they know in their countries. They will come here looking for something unique, something different. And the only unique thing we have is our culture. And so we will engage Ministry of Education and then find a midpoint as to how we can start. For me, I believe that we must always start from the roots. most of us in this room, we are already made. It will be difficult to change us. But the roots, we can't change, and it will affect other generations. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Mr. Chairman, before I go, you see, Chairman, there's a danger here. Recently, one of the things I've seen about education, the reason why I'm concerned about this is my children go to school and they say, Europe Week, you have to dress like a Scottish, like this and that. The children are being taught musical instruments that are alien to us. My daughter is learning how to play the violin and all those things. She doesn't know how to play a palongo. You understand? Eh? It doesn't. so, Mr. Chairman, I am happy. The reason I'm saying this, my brother, my brother sitting here is one of the foremost critics as far as the arts and culture is concerned. And I'm happy he's going to that ministry. But it will take more than just being at the ministry with this. We must begin to forge a very strong advocacy on these things. Other than that, our culture is dying. You talk a book about who say KKK. How many of the children in my constituency know how to dance palogo now? They don't know. Misapa is part of me. You know, so please, I beg you, it's worrying to some of us who believe that we are what we are based on where we come from.
Noted, Honorable Chair. Thankfully, a media person is in here in the name of Kosiabo Peace FM. Every Saturday, he is on with entertainment topics. As I pray, he takes this up as a personal project, and then let's see how far we can take this. Thank you.
Zara first, then I'll come to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, and congratulations, Honorable Nominee. Mr. Chairman, before I ask my question, I want to seek some clarification from the Honorable Nominee. In answering a question, he said that they were seeking to introduce Batakari celebration, right? I hope I heard right.
Yes, you're right, Honorable.
Would you say that Batakari and Fugu are one and the same?
Honorable Chair, thank you. It will be difficult to differentiate from where I said. I am sure this is a technical question, knowing where you come from. But I only said that Kinaisuba is selling a brand called Batakari Festival. So, unfortunately, those of us from the south, we see every smoke as Batakari. And there's a saying that Batakari na dos on the hunkremoni papa. So that's all we know. So forgive me, it's an assignment. I would take this up and learn more. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I'll give you pointers to how to, because for someone in your position, Deputy Minister for Tourism and Culture, when we talk about culture and tradition, we must say exactly what it is. Otherwise, we cause confusion in the minds of the people that we are. I'll refer you to an article written by Sydney Abugri, Daily Graphic, 19th April 2016. A cultural point of order. A fugu is not a batakari. Please read it. All right,
thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, now to my substantive question. The Arts Center in Accra. Have you been there lately?
My last time at the Arts Center was when the film producers had their elections. At the time, it was just about when Marine Drive was about starting, when I heard of Marine Drive. And so the information that I had was that they were going to be moved from that place to where we have Bureau of Languages at Kaukudi.
So when you were there, would you say that it's a representative of the ideal place to promote our culture? And if not, what will you do with your sector minister to try to improve on that? And not just in Accra, but also in all the other regional capitals.
Thank you, Honorable. The environment that I saw at the time wasn't good enough to sell. And so I agree with you that we must do some facelift at some of or most of these venues. And so I had mentioned earlier on that Dr. Awal, Honorable, is on his way to Tamale at the moment. And he's doing all these rounds because he wants to see the status of most of these venues so that he can take some decisions. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My next question is about the youth. We've discussed the youth enough in this country. What we fail to do is maybe take the trouble to find out what the potentials are that exist, that can be harnessed, and what we can do as government or a state to see some of these youth in more defined or recognized professions or ventures. I've heard you say here a couple of times that your Honorable Minister is talking about building a studio. I hope that it will not be a studio situated in Accra only. Will you work with him to situate mini studios in either regional capitals or district capitals so that young people in these areas, I have a lot of young people in my constituency who are into music making, but they don't have what it takes to be able to fine-tune or refine these talents that they have. That will it be possible to look for investment into this area so that young people across the country, their energies and talents can be redirected into some more useful ventures?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It's a good suggestion, but I think that it is not a government agenda only. We need everybody on board, including parliamentarians, just like my brother, Honorable Patrick, just mentioned that he wants to build one for his constituency. If we should get more of these philanthropic activities, I'm sure it's going to help, because it will be difficult for government to do it all. And for the kind of government we have, we believe in the private sector. And so if we can get more people from the private sector to support what government wants to do, I think it will go a long way. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
I'm still under the impression the Honorable Buama is going to build the studio. You saw the exclamation when you mentioned $1 million. None of us here will be able to build the studio, certainly not as MPs. So I agree with you that we need to look beyond government. Some form of investment directed into these activities should help. My last question is about the Honorable Chairman already raised that issue, telenovelas. We talked about, you mentioned that we want to do more local content, but you can see that the telenovelas have taken a step ahead of us and trying to localize their contents, because when you enter the home and there is content on screen with white people speaking Twi, your first inclination is, oh, these are Twi people speaking people, before you realize that this is actually imported. And mainly these dramas are developed on low budget sort of programs so that they can be rolled out as quickly as possible. You go to the hairdressing salon, everywhere, Mr. Chairman, it's not just your home. I mean, everywhere you go, you are bombarded with these telenovelas in Twi, in English. Can we look at replicating? We don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. Just look at what they are doing. Can we create a low-budget sort of production units for our own? Some of us miss the TV theaters, the dramas, Mame Dokuno and her group. Can we do that on a low-budget basis for our people? And look at the standards. The standards are equally important so that they become more attractive to us and to the youth who seem to be consuming a lot of this. And then hopefully we can push the telenovelas to decide. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The marketing orientation is that when there's a need for product, people go for it, and then they pay for the entrepreneur to make profit. And so if, as a government, we do not show interest in changing that narrative, the consumers are consuming these telenovelas that speak Twi and other local languages. So the only way, apart from the laws, which is the broadcast law, the only way we can't change that is to also up our game. And then, like you mentioned, standardization. Get to the standard that the Ghanaian ones won't look below standard. And so we grow the taste of our local movies or series and then promote them aggressively. Because all these things is about promotion. If the promotion is good, it attracts a lot of people and they want to go and see. So if we do not get that push and the agenda that we want to sell, because this telenovela started just from a few people. I remember TV 3 years ago, Acapulco Bay. And then people rushed to go and watch, and then people's houses are burning and all of that. Over time, we didn't work on it. We slept on it over time before we realized it had taken over. And so we must also come strong with a strong marketing strategy that will compete. Because like I said, the consumers don't consume it via TV alone. So even if we are able to take them off television through the law, if we do not compete, they will take over on the phones and the tabs and the laptops. So we need to get the mix right. As we compete, then the laws will also deal with the other side for us. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Very well. Yes, Sir Hosseini.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, congratulations. Honorable nominee, let me start from your last role. Were you president or chairman of the Creative Arts Council? And what was your most notable impact made?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We saw to the passing of the bill, which is the Creative Art Bill, which is now an act. Again, you can see some changes around our interchanges. With our low budget and what we get through private sector support, we're able to beautify some of the interchanges you see around. It was all in the spirit of selling art to people of Ghana. And then those are some of the core. We did some master classes with some of the Hollywood celebrities who came to town. We took advantage and got them engaging our creatives in Ghana so that we can at least, when it comes to the brain power or mind game, we can compete. We took some 2 bands to Spain who got some revenues for performances on 12 music festival platforms. Those are some of the notable things we did. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Now, you started with the passage of the bill.
Yeah.
Will you say that is enough as far as what the industry needs are today? Or do you have in mind any laws or regulations that you think Parliament should still consider in the promotion of tourism, culture, and arts?
At the moment, I would say that the Creative Arts Act is good. We only must work on the Creative Arts policy and then the new culture policy, and we should be fine for now until technology begins to give us problems again, like it's given to our collecting societies. Sometimes our laws had to go through some evolution because of the way the creative industry is. When the COSGA laws were made for collecting societies, it said that every CD that entered the country will be taxed for the creative people. Over time, nobody is bringing in CDs. People are now bringing in pen drives, laptops, tablets, and all these formats are doing almost the same job as the CDs used to do. So now the people at Gamro, ASOG, and Copy Ghana are not getting what they actually deserve. And that is why you often hear that the creative people complain these days that they give them meager figures for royalties. It's because the law at the time looked at compact disc and other devices. But compact disc is no more relevant. It is the other devices. And we are not getting anything for them on the other devices at the moment. So maybe in future, I'll come back and speak a different language concerning the laws. But for now, I think this is fine to go.
Well, I meant to, maybe I'll go there, but your answer as a follow-up, if Chairman will permit me, is to find out from you what ideas you have to help your minister with the current trend where almost everything, especially about the industry internationally, is going digital. The technological shift that the industry is witnessing, which you have just also made reference to. What ideas do you have to help your minister ensure that Ghanaian artists, Ghanaian creators are supported to take advantage of that technological shift?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Originally, Dr. Mohamed Awa, Honorable, wanted to have a platform to sell digital products or sell products of creatives soft instead of hard. And so we did some research on that and got to know that MTN had tried to get a platform to sell music, which is MTN Play. We all know the story. Wasn't too successful. Deezer, which was also made by Tigo, also relatively didn't do too well. And even some of the ones we have in Nigeria, some of the popular ones we have in Nigeria, are also struggling. And the research that some of these companies have that I managed to get some of the information show that it is because as a country, a lot of us are not ready to purchase digitally. It is not because, it's also a cultural thing. We are used to getting the music free. We watch television, we watch film free. Unlike the Western countries, if you want to watch a movie, it is cable, you pay. But here, films are free. And so that's the culture we have built. And so Almighty, MTN, and the others are even struggling to make this happen. And so we are scared to take steps. What if? Do we have the resources to market? Because apps are driven by marketing. You can have a very good app. If it's not well marketed, it won't go anywhere. And so we are still engaging and discussing. It is the right thing to do, but in the meantime, we're encouraging them to be on the platforms that they are on already, like Boomplay, Spotify, and the rest, until we find a fertile...
So you don't have any ideas yet?
Because it is, if we are not careful, it will cause financial loss. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
I see.
Yeah.
We have been focusing, and I've been following the questions on creative arts, but you are going to a ministry that is also to deal with culture and tourism. What is your understanding of the state of tourism, for example, in Ghana? And how will you help your minister to improve upon it?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In the last 4 years, I think that tourism is growing in Ghana.
Only in the last 4 years.
Sorry, I mentioned the last 4 years because that was when I was in there and I saw the things that were happening. Previously, I was mostly in my private sector. Okay, I agree. So, year of return brought us spotlight around the world. You find Nigerians who we personally think they are always competing with us on a friendly level, even saying that year of return was good. What it seeks to bring is that it's bringing businessmen, creative people that we can collaborate with and do things together are all coming into the country. And so we can ride on year of return and do a lot with beyond the return. And I'm sure that is why the previous minister, Honorable Barbara Otinjesi, in her wisdom, chose with the team to go beyond the return. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
It seems your understanding, and because you are a straightforward person, I'll also just be straight with you. Your understanding of the tourism is just limited to year of return. The tourism industry is limited to year of return because you keep going back to year of return anytime a tourism issue comes up. And maybe you should go beyond the year of return when you are at the ministry to help promote tourism. There's a lot we can get, for example, from domestic tourism. Just us, even making sure that our tourist sites are attractive and appealing enough for us, Ghanaians, to also access with our families, especially during holidays. And I think there's a lot that we can gain from that. But my final question relates to the issue of foreign content on our media platforms. We all know about the impact of broadcasting on the creative industry. There is a turf war, and you spoke to it in parts, between the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, the Ministry of Communications, NMC, that's the National Media Commission, and NCA, over the digital switch that we are supposed to experience as far as television content is concerned. I don't know how far you have educated yourself on this turf war and how you can help your minister resolve that turf war in a way that when all is done, the impact on broadcasting, the impact of broadcasting on the industry will be beneficial.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I do not have enough information on this, and so I will engage if this August House gives me the nod, and then I will understand better and then make some contributions to my minister. Thank you.
I wish you well. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, earlier he was asked about the national service, and you said you had ulcer. Is that the reason you didn't do the service? Is that what I heard?
Yes, I'm saying that I got exemption because in my youthful days, I struggled with stomach ulcer.
But when I look at your CV, on page, I think that's page 2, it shows that after 1993, when you did the private A-level, 2011, you went back to university.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
And you completed in 2015.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Why didn't you do the national service?
Come again, Honorable.
So why didn't you do the national service after graduation from the university?
I was Over 40 years, Honorable.
Did you apply to national service for that?
Come again, Honorable, please.
I said, did you write to National Service Secretariat for exemption?
Yes, I did.
And did they respond exempting you?
Yes, Honorable.
So you have a copy of that exemption letter?
Yes, Honorable.
In an answer to an earlier question on the year of return, did I hear you say that it fetched us about 3.3 billion?
Yes, Honorable.
Cedis or dollars?
Cedis.
Did you million or billion?
Cedis, yes.
3.3 billion cedis, right?
Yes, yes.
How did you arrive at the figure?
It is a reported figure. I think earlier on, one of the honorables.
I knew because you said it was reported. Who reported that?
I got this information from Ghana Tourism Authority.
Ghana Tourism Authority.
Yes, Honorable.
Because you were in the industry. And did you get it from news portal or you got it from Ghana Tourism Authority?
I got it from Ghana Tourism Authority.
Is it part of their annual report or how did they report it?
I think that it was an article I chanced on social media.
You said it was an article you chanced?
One of the, Ghana Tourism Authority platforms. Yes.
So is it something that you can authenticate?
Because it's on a platform, which is WhatsApp, maybe I would like to get from the website to be able to say it's authentic.
You said you were an anti-status quo.
I said the industry is an anti-status quo environment. That is the creative industry.
Is it the reason why you think people think that you don't have the right temperament for this place?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think that I am only assertive and again opinionated like where I came from. And so that's all I know that I have. Apart from that, when it comes to temperaments over the years, my records have shown that I am not what maybe is perceived about me.
You said maybe it has to
what
do
is perceived.
Where you are coming from.
As in the creative space, the creative industry.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Earlier, when you were asked about the tourism satellite account, what did you say was the reason why you couldn't get it established?
Originally, I said that we didn't have one. And then Honorable Elizabeth Ofusuejari said, there is one, but it's not in operation. So maybe that is why I do not know about it. But she said there is one.
Is it that what she's saying, or because you were in the industry and this is something that you should know? Because you were the interim, is it president or?
Interim president. Because we didn't have the law, I couldn't call it president.
No, but in your own test on page, I think page 1 of your, or is it page 2 of your CV, where you were talking about what was expected of you as interim president, lays between government and creative industry for strategic decision-making purposes. And if there's an act, Tourism Act was passed, a setup was done to ensure that we gather all this information. And 4 years down the line, you are asked about it, and you are saying that you didn't know about it. Were you really taking what you were doing very seriously?
And at the time, there was no act. We got the act a few months ago after elections.
I'm not talking about the Creative Act bill. I'm talking about the tourism.
Please come again. I'm getting confused, please.
No, you are talking about two different. I'm not talking about the creative arts bill that has been turned into an act.
Okay.
But before 2017, the Tourism Act was also passed. Or you weren't aware of that?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't know about that.
You didn't know about the fund that was created to assist in the industry?
Yes, I know about that.
And you didn't know where the fund was established from?
No.
The law that was backing it?
No. I only know that there's a fund that sits within Ghana Tourism Authority.
So how were you able to monitor the fund, being the interim president of the Creative Arts Council, when that's where the money is coming from? You needed to be conversant with the act, what it was meant for, and how you could assess, and how you and your group could benefit from it. And you didn't know about the main act, yet you were enjoying the proceeds from the fund.
Honorable Chair, sorry, we were not directly benefiting from that fund. And so that is why, maybe, no.
Where is your office located?
Attic, Accra Tourist Information Center.
Is it
opposite
the one
Africa?
Opposite Jubilee House?
Yes.
Or Plaster House?
Yes.
When did you move into the office?
2017.
Were you the one who rented the place or furnished the place? No, I know, because I said when the MPP gained power in 2017, there was nothing. Yep. No money, they were not left with anything. So I'm just taking him through to appreciate that there was something.
Okay, so yes, we had an office in the Attic building.
But you didn't rent it?
No.
So you came and it was there? Ghana Tourism Authority had it. And
yes, Ghana Tourism Authority.
You inherited it?
Yes.
So after all, it wasn't that you inherited nothing. He said that. So you inherited it?
Yes.
Earlier, when you were answering a question, you said we need to get investors and philanthropists. But this is something that, with a greater respect, I, as a layman to the creative industry, will say. But not someone like you. You are to tell us what you, given the opportunity as deputy minister, will do to assist your minister to change the face of the place. But not to be talking like me, who is a layman who doesn't really know the industry. What are you going to do to get investment into this area? Not government, not necessarily government. What strategy are you going to adopt?
Okay. I think it was in respect to a particular question. But what I would do to support my minister, Dr. Awal, is to get our culture customized enough that can sell with innovation. Use it to do creatives. Like we launched recently with the National Film Authority, where we've done the presidential film pitch to the world, and people are pitching their films to investors across the world. And people are going to pay or get money to shoot. And when they shoot, we use the films to sell Ghana, because we are going to make sure that the Ghana agenda shows in the movies. Out of that, you sell tourism, because what people see across the world, when you showcase your country, the beautiful places, it attracts them to want to come back. And then revenues come in. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Chairman, earlier he talked about this studio, but he said they needed to get some green lights. Now there's a green light. The green light, you wanted to get the green light from who?
Stakeholders, industry.
And it took 4 years to get stakeholders to get you the green light. Is that what you're saying?
It did not take 4 years. It did less than 4. That is why in the last manifesto of the MPP, you saw the studio in it again. Means that we got a degree of acceptance. That is why we still put it in the manifesto.
Okay, so it means that you are very conversant with this idea of the studio. The minister mentioned it when he was being vetted.
Yes.
But because he wasn't from the industry, obviously one could not push for more information. You are from the industry. How soon from your compatriots in the industry expect this studio?
When I get a nod from this August House committee, I would engage minister, and the minister will be verbatim with some information, then I can share with the industry.
Because you are talking about you've gotten green light.
Yeah.
It meant that it's something that is being hatched from you. And probably you might have fed your minister with the idea of this studio. And now you are saying that when you are approved, then you will go and get information from your minister. When your minister had not been in that industry for this while, you have been there for 4 years in government. Even before in government, you just said you've been a practitioner in the creative arts industry for over 30 years. So you should be able to tell us the idea about the studio, where you are going to get funds to be able to do it, and probably locations that you might have already started thinking where it could be located. So I want to get that from you because you are a practitioner, not somebody who is now going to be acting or asking practitioners.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. But respectfully, I am not the owner of the vision. I still would report and take directives from my minister if given the nod. And so he must be the one I must take the information from. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The Film Act, you mentioned earlier about it, right?
I don't remember, Honorable Chair.
Oh, someone was asking and he said, oh, give us some few months and you get all those things happening about the Film Act.
Film Fund.
The Film Fund, sorry. Yeah. Yes, the Film Fund. Why was it not established? You've had 4 years. You were there. You were leading the council.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The Film Authority itself got into operations about a year ago. So although the law was in existence, there was no board, they were not in operations. And so relatively, it is still new. And so that is why I said that giving ourselves some months ahead, we can have a change. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Mr. Chairman, there was a news portal that you were confirming the 50 million cedis that the Minister of Finance did promise the creative industry, and you confirmed that the money came. Did the money really was paid?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. Some monies were disbursed. I have some here. Garment and textiles, 28,465,908. Photographers, 356,000. Hairdressers and beauticians, 4,300,000. This is from MBSSI. And so to some extent.
So the NBSSI.
Yes.
When the minister was talking, he was saying that they were going to release this 50 million to the creative art industry. Are you saying that that money that was disbursed by the NBSSI was this money that the minister was talking about?
Yes, Honorable.
Is it not the COVID money that NBSSI that was disbursing that you people got?
Exactly so, Honorable.
Is it the same as the 50 million that the minister promised?
Yes, exactly.
Are you saying yes because you know for sure, or you are just guessing?
I am saying for sure because it was after the 50 million announcement that we got the opportunity to engage MBSSI, and they agreed that some amount have been made available for the creative industry, and that was the 50 million.
You were in the press, meet the press in 2018, January, when then Honorable Catherine Afeko first mentioned the approval of $50 million by the World Bank as a grant to boost the creative industry. Were you in that press conference?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
And you subsequently spoke extensively on it, that this was going to help change the face of your industry.
I don't remember talking on it.
Did that money come?
It is still in the loop, still in the process.
Where has it reached? Do you have any idea where it has gotten to?
At a point in time, it was almost cancelled, and then a few months ago, when Honorable Dr. Awal came in, he reignited it, and so it is ongoing.
When you say it's ongoing, I'm at a loss, because if this was in January 2018, 3 years is gone, and you are still saying it's ongoing, because the president himself in February 2019 reiterated this in the State of the Nation. And even if you take the 2019 to date, 2 years is gone, and you are still telling us it's in the pipeline.
Honorable Chair, we must, I mean, facing facts, we know these monies are not easy to collect. The processes involved, the consultants and all. And so it's been back and forth in getting this through, but hopefully in the next few months ahead.
So what challenges do you think is making it difficult for you to assess? Because if World Bank has approved it, it is for you to meet the conditions, the steps that needed to be taken to assess it. So in your view, what is making it so difficult for you to assess this money?
It's rather unfortunate. It will be difficult for me to tell, because I was not directly in the ministry 4 years ago, and I do not have enough information on this. And so if I'm given the nod by this August House, I will ask for more, and then I can support what my minister wants to do.
I thought your council was an establishment of that ministry.
Yes.
And you go to meetings, the ministry tries to get you involved in what they are doing. You ask questions, you try to find out policy directions. Is that not right?
Yes, sir.
So how come that you sat all these 3 years and you are not saying that we should give you the opportunity to go to that ministry before you can tell what issues are there about the difficulty in accessing the money?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It's because this particular one was and is a special project. And so the team that works on it is very different. They are not some of the people we often meet. Thank you.
Musica. Too many constitution, too many confusion. What is really the problem with Musica that you know of?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It's a problem that runs through most of our associations. Good governance.
When you say good governance, what's
lack of good governance?
Lack of good governance. What is lack of good governance?
Generally, if you say lack of good governance, it means there are some gaps in the tenets of good governance, like transparency, participatory, and equity, rule of law, and all of that. And that is why you mentioned that too many constitutions, because if really we're doing the right thing, we won't have too many constitutions.
So what do you intend to do to help them get over it, now that you're going as one of somebody who has been in the industry for over 3 decades and going to be assisting your minister? What do you hope to do to get them to overcome their challenges so they'll be on the right footing?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Dr. Awal has given his word that he's going to make budget available for orientation and then capacity building, so they understand good governance practices, so that the challenges will reduce or dwindle. And I'm sure that if we're able to go through that, the direction of most of these organizations are going to change. Thank you, Honorable.
Mr. Chairman, earlier he said that the lack of the creative arts bill was hindering on most of their progress. Now that the Creative Art Act has been passed, they are hopeful that most of their challenges will be over. Did I hear you say that?
Yes, I did, Honorable.
So what were the challenges that you thought that the Creative Arts Act was coming to resolve?
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. The industry didn't have a regulator. And that is why some of the challenges that Honorable Chair mentioned earlier, like what you see on TV. It's an industry that people just enter, no orientation. They do what they like, irrespective of how it affects our culture or our people, whether it's illegal or illegal. People do not know much about these things. But now that we're going to get a regulator for the industry, just like GTA, people will not do what they are not supposed to do. At least there's a system that will check you and put you in place that will help you conform to the standards of best practices. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Chairman, I know there has been at least 6 months has passed since we passed the act. I remember very well it was the later part of December when we got this passed. Since then, what has changed?
It became an act in January, and so the minister, Honorable Dr. Wao, is now putting the structures together. Because we, at the time that we were running the interim office, didn't have structures. Because we couldn't employ, we couldn't pay salaries, and so we didn't have structures. But now that we have the act, it should be fully fleshed, and so Honorable Minister Dr. Wao is working on that. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Chairman, I'm almost done. High life. High life, something that identifies us as people. Unfortunately, most of your new artists that are coming, you call what, hip life, or what do you call it? There's a name people have for it.
We have hip life, and then we have Afrobeat.
Afrobeat. I enjoy listening to Afrobeat, but obviously, I will be very happy if high life could be promoted in a special way that will bring it back. What, in your view, can we do to get high life back?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. High life has actually not gone for it to come back. It is evolution of sound. If you listen to the 70s and the Nampedus, and then it came to George Darko changing using Boga beats, making it the Equity Brafo Boga High Life. And then over time, we had people like Charles Samuel also coming in with a different type of high life. Then that the Lumba Kojonchi, before the Hinaba Kisis, then the Dasper Jamines also came to change it. After the Dasper Jamines generation, we got to Friam Ponsa. If you listen to all these rhythms, you will see that almost everyone comes with a different form of high life. So it will be difficult to have a particular type of high life play for about 20 years. It will still be their high life. Kwame Eugene claims is a champion for high life, but I'm sure that some of you do not believe his kind of music is high life. But it's evolved. Kim Promise, Wendy Shea, they all do a different form of high life. But to go back to our Dr. KJC, Nanam Pedu, and the George Darkons, I am sure that Honorable Chair, respectfully, it will never, it means it will never come back. Yeah.
Yes, Sichi High Life. We will bring Sichi High Life back.
You know, the lyrics, I mean, the lyrics were very clear. You could hear what they were saying, as against the jumping and somersaulting, and you hear more instrumentals than what they are really saying. I mean, I think we can deliberately find a way of promoting. Even we agree it will surely not be as in the 50s or in the 30s or in the 70s or in the 80s. I mean, they've been evolving. But one thing that was very distinguished is that you could hear the lyrics were rich, and that they makes a lot of sense. Theater. I think it will be very unfair if I don't ask your view on that, knowing that Uncle Ebo White is sitting right behind you. What are you going to do in a special way to promote? I mean, I had thought that in our country, it was going to be extremely difficult to get theater, people to be interested in theater. I'm sure, but I did not been COVID. Uncle Ebo maybe probably would have moved from quarterly by monthly, maybe by now monthly. It was doing so well. You enjoy it. I mean, during holidays, he has series of them. You go with the family and you laugh your head off and leave all your troubles behind you. What in a special way are you, when given the nod, are you going to do to promote not only the like of Uncle Ebo, but many young generations that are coming into theater?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Theater, at a point in time, we all thought it wasn't sellable until Uncle Ebo showed his face. He's shown us the way, and so we know that we can sell theater. Now we have other young men who are competing with Uncle Ebo, but senior is still senior. What I would suggest or add to what Dr. Awal wants to do for theater is to make it exportable. Because years ago, we were here when Umoja, Charterhouse brought Umoja to Ghana. We all went and we called for what we call in our local parlance appeal. And Umoja had to come back for a second time. As they come, they are taking foreign exchange. They are taking monies away. So if we are able to get markets for Uncle Ebo and Co. across the world, and they decide to tour, by the time they are back, we have some foreign exchange for the country. And so that is what I have to add. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Lastly, comedy. You know, they sometimes blend it, sometimes they just do it alone. What in a special way are you going? Because I see our compatriots in Nigeria are now turning into a multi-million-dollar industry. I've seen some few Ghanaians coming up, but obviously they need to be helped and assisted to be able to develop well. As someone who has been in the industry for long, and I can see that from the CV, you've done a number of things in the past on TV3, Mentor, and what have you. What are you going to do in a special way to assist develop that segment of our entertainment too?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Comedy is one of the areas that is bringing revenues. Charterhouse, we've seen the 1,000 laughs that happen every year in Christmas. It is almost a full house almost every year for so many years. It shows that there's an interest in this area. Our youth too have done well. They've competed. Originally, it was only Nigerians. But now we have Ghanaian comedians who are also doing well. They are able to host their own shows and people patronize. What we need to do for them or to support them is marketing. Whether it is traditional media or new media, partnerships, collaborations with media houses to push them so that one person can decide that he's doing stand-up comedy on his own one whole night and the house is full. And you do not need to do too many of that within a year to survive. And you can choose to tour across the country, just one person. And we'll go across the country and come back like the way the Nampedu and his people used to tour across the country in the 70s. By the time they come back after the tour, they are okay. And so this is what I would suggest to my minister if I'm giving the nod. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Chairman, lastly, whoever prepares you for vetting has done very well. And I pray that as you go, you keep the same composure, even in the ministry, so that you prove your critics wrong. Because we all heard all manner of things. But whoever prepares you for this vetting had done very well. And I pray that so you see, Obi is saying that you are a producer, you've been producing things. Now you've also been produced here. So we wish you well, and we pray that you do things that will get our leisure time to be more interesting, because it's very boring. You work so hard throughout the week, and weekend, all you can do is to watch TV, and sometimes it's very boring. We wish you well.
Thank you, Honorable.
Very well. Unfortunately for me, I'm not a football fan. I'm not a TV fan, so I like outdoor. Unfortunately, I can't go out. Well, your CV says you're a student of Central University.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Somebody brought a petition to the committee, and the allegations in the petition are two. That you don't know the name of your constituency secretary. Which constituency do you vote in?
I used to vote at East Legon for Honorable Ejaku. And then I changed. Technically, I'm supposed to be voting within the Honorable Javier Susu's space. But for some reasons, I do not vote there. And so now I vote at Ayesuano.
So, what's the name of the constituency secretary for you as West Fogon? Are you also West Fogon? That's what the complaint about. Say you don't know the constituency secretary of MPP's name.
Honorable Chair, I'll please go and look for him.
Says you don't know the name of the regional secretary of MPP in the Greater Accra. You see, the complaint is that when you were a student of Central University, they wanted to form TESCON, and you resisted them. You didn't allow them to form TESCON. Is that true?
I do not remember, Honorable.
You see, the point really is that for our purposes, this is not a proper objection or complaint that is well laid. But I want you to know that people in the party think that you have been jumped over them. Bear that in mind when you're going to work, that you'll be dealing with party people. I just asked a question. I will feel entitled that because the party they work for are in power, they, rather than you, are entitled to be nominated for the position by the president. Bear that in mind in your dealings with the party people. But let me ask you, have you heard about the person, the community called Kokotro?
No, Honorable Chairman.
Kokotro is within the Bekwai municipality. There's a particular place which I think you should be interested in. It's a big rock, and there are footprints on the rock. Every person in the world, from child to adult, from size 1 to size 10, you find a footprint there. I think you should be interested in developing that for, yes, you will find your footprint there from a baby to adult. That's a place you should want to hype for tourism, and I'm mentioning it to you to take note. Write it down, Kokotro, Bekwai municipality, and assist your minister to develop that. On that note, we thank you for attending upon the house.
Thank you, Honorable
answer
Chair.
questions.
Thank you.
You're discharged for now. You hear from us again.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.